This video, I will be discussing these 5 points. First point is to cover general BTC updates. A couple of days see that had made a local bottom. We see some recovery after that. Once we have recovered till the 70,000 level, we see some rejections. Because I believe that a lot of crypto traders and investors are in loss due to this capitulation or downturn, and somebody is trying to recover the losses. This I will also cover in the next point, where we see on-chain data and how much percentage of Bitcoin flow is in losses. As I discussed in the previous video, Bitcoin is following somewhat like a previous cycle bottom formation. Last cycle, Bitcoin formed a five waves bottom structure, in which we see third wave was the largest one, and there was a bit retracement of fourth, and then we formed the bottom. In this cycle, we can see some somewhat similar dynamics playing out, where we see third wave developing and we are heading into the fifth. The only question that comes to my mind is whether this is the end of third wave, or are we going to see some additional flush in the market before we reach the end of the third wave. Because in the previous cycle, as you can see, we see a first breakdown, and there is a bit of recovery that Bitcoin tried to do, but ultimately it was unable to take back the levels, and then it crashed again. So are we going to see something similar after crashing, after taking a retracement from here? There is a rejection at this level. Is Bitcoin going to crash from here to create a lower low, and then we see some retracement back to the fourth wave, and then we move into bottom formation? That's the only question that I'm looking in. Going into this week, I was also wondering if we see some additional breakout from this level. But in that case, Bitcoin has to crush these levels of support or resistance that it has created and have to move volatility up and then try to take support on this. If this kind of scenario happens, then I would be very happy to enter at this position, yeah, after the retracement. But always be aware that this kind of situation always comes with some kind of breakouts which are fake in nature. So basically, see a fake out, and then market crashes again and moves into the zone again. So this kind of scenario may happen if we are not cautious enough. I believe that we are almost at the bottom, or we are forming some bottom formations. We are just waiting for that last trigger, which will create the last panic in the markets before we see a recovery or a long lasting recovery into the markets. And this can also be clearly highlighted with the use of RSI. As you can see, we can see some recovery in the RSI as well. And if this recovery sustains and we are still able to see lower lows, then the only possibility is that we are making a bullish divergence. And this type of divergence generally comes at the very initial stages of the bull market. We can see in the previous cycle that the lows were created in the third wave. RSI lows were created in the third wave. Then from that period onwards, even if fifth wave was the lowest point it created in that cycle, but here in RSI it was not. In RSI we were creating bullish divergence, which marked the end of the crypto bear market, and afterward we see a complete recovery in RSI as well as the prices. Next, I would like to discuss the total Bitcoin supply, which is under loss, and how it correlates with the previous Bitcoin bear markets. Here you can clearly see that currently total supply in loss is 9.57 million Bitcoins. So the people holding those 9.5 million Bitcoins are under losses. And similar loss structure is seen in the Bitcoin bear market usually. Here, as you can see, that usually 50% of the Bitcoin, or like 40 to 50% of the Bitcoin, is under losses during this bear markets, because they are in the hands of recently purchased Bitcoin holders. And usually these are the people who had bought at the top, or maybe after 20-30% correction, or they are doing some dollar cost averaging as Bitcoin moves downward. And this kind of losses accumulates over time, because yeah, Bitcoin is grinding downward because they don't have foresight to look into the future and tell, okay, this is the bottom. As you can see in the previous bear market, you can usually see that bear market is not a parabolic move in terms of supply and loss. It usually grinds up and down and creates a double top or maybe triple top. In this cycle we have not seen that kind of situations. In this cycle we have only seen one top of Bitcoin losses maxing out at 9.5 million. This leads me to believe that we will be seeing some another tops, which obviously indicates that we will be seeing some lower bottoms, or maybe people will be in losses going forward, and we will be seeing some lower price action, or we will be seeing some lower price action, and will form such kind of patterns where we will see multiple tops, and maybe Bitcoin can cross like more than 50% of its supply under losses. Because yeah, predicting the bottom is the most difficult thing that we can do in this kind of situations. So nobody can predict the bottom. So usually you have to dollar cost average, and over time, if you are not dollar cost averaging at a good prices, then this kind of losses builds over time. Third point that I want to cover is the inverse correlation of Bitcoin and silver. And this also works for gold. Currently, you can see that the silver and gold prices has stopped, and we have seen a parabolic price movement in silver as well as gold in the past year and so, and inverse has happened in Bitcoin. And I would like to highlight that yeah, this is somewhat expected, because Bitcoin is somewhat related to the tech industry and software industry. So going forward, I will show you how Bitcoin is correlating more to the software ETFs charts. But I believe that we have found a local top for silver as well as gold, and I don't think that silver and gold will be crushing these prices and moving forward, because yeah, that will be very unrealistic situation. Usually silver prices after a parabolic rise see a grinding movement downward. I believe that this kind of situations is also similar, where we have seen the silver top, and now we will be seeing the grinding moment down of silver prices as well as gold. And when we look at silver versus Bitcoin, we can clearly see that dynamic playing out. In the previous cycle, we see that the top of silver versus Bitcoin was created somewhere around this, and we are in similar position right now, and this leads me to believe that we will be seeing some downward price action in this. And when this prices move downward, as this is silver by Bitcoin, we'll be seeing some Bitcoin price go up, and obviously there will be also some reduction in this. That's why we will see some fall in this correlation between silver and Bitcoin as well as gold and Bitcoin. And this will be the accumulation phase. And once this accumulation phase is over, then we may see some rallies in Bitcoin, which will again try to break the lows of this situation, which is the previous low created the previous cycle. Next, I would like to highlight the correlation between Bitcoin and the tech software ETFs. So this, you can clearly see that Bitcoin bull market is clearly marked and correlated with the rise of software sector or rise of AI, which we have seen in past couple of years. Similar box grind formation over here, and then double top, similar double top, and even to the yesterday's retracement. We saw some retracement in iShare ETFs for tech software sector. You can see some rally up here if you zoom in, and this clearly shows that yeah, Bitcoin prices are somewhat related to the tech software sector. And in the tech software sector, I can currently see that there is a pretty interesting pattern forming, which is there is a multi-year resistance which has formed on this line, and the overall structure has taken multiple support points on this line, and we can see that there is no trading or very less trading happen in this buffer zone, which lead me to hypothesize move down, a very quick move down to cover up this trading section and take support on this previous support, which is a resistance before it break out, and then maybe it can show some quick retracement and recovery from here. But I believe that this zone is somewhat very interesting to look at if prices tend to take a reversal from here, and then we may see some lower bottom, because this has been a really good support. But I believe in terms of traders perspective, I believe that this zone has a lot of liquidity in it, where there can be a flush that can take all the liquidity, and then we can see a quick recovery up. And if this kind of situation happen, we may see some bottom or fifth wave formation in Bitcoin as well, or the thing that I already told, that we may see some third wave flush, which is beyond the current wave count we are considering, and then a recovery, and after that we see a slow grind down towards this level, and then we shoot it out. So basically a double bottom formation at this levels. Next, I would like to cover the news and correlation. So usually Bitcoin bottoms are formed in the depths of fear, and I'm looking for that trigger where we see peak fear in the market, and I believe that we are very close to it. During 2022-23 bear market, the bottom of Bitcoin bear market was marked by FTX, the biggest crypto scam in the history, and we see a lot of fear during those period, and that period marked the end of Bitcoin bear market. So I usually like to correlate most fearful news in the market with the bottom formation. And currently we are seeing somewhat something similar building up in the market. If we look through different news channels like this, Bitcoin buyers are cashing out after short-lived jumps to $74,000. So basically, a lot of Bitcoin holders are in losses, as I shown you that there are a lot of on-chain data indicating that a lot of crypto holder or Bitcoin holders are in losses due to a sudden downtrend, and a lot of them are trying to cash out their profits, whatever smaller profits they have gathered. They are trying to cash it out. There's one additional fear in the market of war that is going on in the Middle East. So there are always a question that are we moving into World War III? That creates a fear around the markets, and yeah, these kind of situations are pretty interesting in terms of bottom formation. Additional things like Bitcoin dives below 69,000 as the US loses 90k jobs in February. So there is always also a fear of AI taking over jobs, and there are a lot of job losses during this and previous year as well. So this is additional fear that is building up in the markets. And the last news that I would like to discuss is Iran regime crypto activity topped. So basically, USA has added a lot of sanctions on Iran, and to fight a war or to retaliate, Iran needs money. And I believe that this money can come from crypto activities or maybe Bitcoin, because you cannot control it. Basically, the Iranian government may sell off their stockpile crypto, and we may see some downtrend due to high selling pressure. So there is also this kind of situation that may have. We have to always look out for such scenarios and always be prepared if such kind of scenario happens and we see a larger downtrend in the markets. That's all I wanted to discuss. See you later.